In this session, we're going to look at creating a number guessing game. We're going to be focused around using the easy, medium, hard options and generating a game between 0 or 1 and 100, 1 and 500, and 1 and 1000. We're going to make a button appear and disappear so the user can't regenerate the number when the game is playing. But we also have a surrender button if they can't guess the number and want to quit the game. So let's have a look at how we do this. First of all, the key thing you need to do is actually set up your radio buttons as a group, all having the same name. We're going to use getElementByName to actually help us control the radio buttons. The other thing we need to be aware of is the value of each radio button. So the first one's value is 100, 500, 1000, and this is different to their names like medium, easy and hard that you can see on the screen at the moment. The other thing we have is a button for start game, and its ID is start game and its name is start game. We also have a button for our guess and also the surrender button. I'm going to be mainly focused on the start game button, the surrender button at this point in time, and you can build the rest of the game with the guess. We have a CSS controlling our screen, and I'm just using the H2 and the table CSS to give us the colors, but more importantly, let's have a look at the code. So when the user has actually selected a radio button and clicked start game, one of the first things we do when we call the function start game is we actually get element.by ID, which is start game, and I actually turn that off. So I'll make it style.display equals none. This turns that invisible on the stage. Also down here, you notice under the surrender button, we actually do the same thing, but this time it has quotes with nothing in between them. This turns the display back on. So this is off and this is on. So we can control when the user can actually see this. And the idea of this is if we hide the button, the user can't run this function again until they've surrendered or reloaded the page to generate a new number. We've declared some variables as we go through. Now, I've made a tutorial on this before where if you've got multiple radio buttons, you can actually traverse through them as an array where we store them in bRadio, find the length, look at each radio button, see if they're checked. If it is checked, we can actually get the value. And this value here, going into nGameSize, is coming from the number that is here. So that controls the size of our game. So once we've got the size of the game, nSize game, we can actually come down to nMagicNumber equal to Math.ceil, which rounds up. Math.random bracket bracket, this creates a random number between 0 and 1, then times it by the size of our game that the user has selected, and rounds that up to a whole number for us and stores it in nMagicNumber. When the game starts, just for us at the moment, we're actually got you've selected, and it tells us the game size, which it actually gets from here, and the magic number is, and tells us the magic number that's been generated. So this will tell us what the user has selected and the number that we're trying to guess. So we're just going to save this. So if I select the 100, start game, it says you've selected 100 game size and the magic number is 12. So now the button's also disappeared, so I can't actually go through and regenerate a new number. I can change the options, but I can't generate a new number. But if I go surrender, it tells me the number I was looking for, and then I can start again, this time 1000 selected, and you notice the number is a lot larger. And once again, that button disappears as well. So this gives you a very simple way of how to make a guessing game, and the only thing you need to work on now is the guessing button. And with the guessing button, if we go to the live view here, every time they select guess, and you might want to change the layout of the screen, etc., there's a counter here that we can increment that until they get it correct, and we can actually store that maybe in a high score table or do something with that number later. We could find the average number of guesses in an easy game versus a medium game or a hard game. Also, how many times a user may actually surrender in a game. If you want to expand the game, you could actually have a kiddies game where it's only a number out of 10. You could even have a coin toss and try to see if they can get heads or tail if you wanted to adjust the game a little bit more. But using this method, you can actually develop some new skills, looking at how you can actually traverse radio buttons. This also works with checkboxes as well, and a few other elements where you can actually get elements by name rather than by ID. So I hope you found this information useful.